to begin.
Hey, what is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode. This is episode 45, and today my guest is Heidi. She is a former co-host of the Dusty Heidi Show, and if at this point you've had the chance to keep up with these Social Primate episodes, you will definitely notice that she was one of the early guests on the show, and to this date, I think it's approximately almost 2 years since I last had her. And I guess what I really enjoyed about this conversation was that if you've had the chance to hear that previous conversation, you would see where we were 2 years ago and where we are now compared to everything that's happened in between. And I think it's, at least to me, it's fascinating to hear myself going through what I was going through then and seeing where I am now, because you can kind of see the personal growth and the I guess, in a sense, maturity that you go through in a certain amount of time. So if you have the chance to go listen to that conversation, I definitely recommend it. That way, when you come into the second one, you have a better sense of who Heidi is, who I was at that time, and how our life experiences up until now have molded us into people who are, you know, I guess overall, we're trying to find our own growth as well. And I think ultimately that's what we're all trying to do. Outside of that, we did delve a little into the topics of psychedelics, specifically mushrooms. For those people who've had the chance to experiment with that, you would know, at least you hope you would know, that those moments are very life-altering, depending on how you see it and how you view it. But for the most part, they are experiences that are going to ultimately help you grow as a person. So I highly recommend it. If you decide you want to try them out after the fact, obviously make sure you do it in the safety of your own home, that you're around people who love you and people that you love in return, and you go in there with a set intention of what it is that you're looking for. But for the most part, I hope you guys enjoy it. I obviously always have fun with conversations, especially with Heidi. She's great. She's overall hilarious. So I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you don't, well, you know, go do your own thing. But for the most part, let's continue this. And today's music is brought to you by Feraz and Destruct with their song Focus. You can check it out on YouTube, find it on Spotify. Great video. All I can say is that the music that comes out of these groups, the amount of effort and work that they're visually putting into these things is fucking cool. So check out the video if you can. It's great. And obviously go support them. And if you like it, check them out. Give them a follow. Follow them on Instagram, you know, all that good stuff. So I hope you guys enjoy, and we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.
Just another day, and I gotta get this money, babe. Keep that food up on my plate. I'm focused. Just another day. Make sure that my family's straight. Make sure that my bills are paid. This my everyday. Tell me what we gon' do. Tell me what's the plan. All right, now what's the next move? We have next, we got receipts, and yeah, we got proof. Been a mission, but no matter what we come through, yeah, we got the juice. We be riding swiftly. Got my family with me, cruising through the city. Fuck if you ain't with me. No matter what we winning, knew from the beginning. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just another day, and I gotta get this money, babe. Keep the food up on my plate. I'm focused. Just another day. Make sure that my family's straight. Make sure that my bills are paid. This my everyday.
Cool. So what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Social Primate Podcast. We got a very special guest today. We got Heidi.
Hi.
Heidi, thank you for coming back. I was going to tell you, I was actually looking at the last time you were on the show, and it was exactly, 2 days after, but it's been 2 years.
To the
almost
day,
on the date.
almost?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was on the 18th I saw, and I was like, oh, sick, you know? So 20, I could say it's the 20th or something.
Yeah.
Yes, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. It was just out of nowhere and just a coincidence.
That's so cool. And you know what? That has to be one of my favorite episodes I've ever recorded.
Yeah. Oh, well, you went to Shenanigans, huh? In Southgate? Like that, that fucking trap house. Yeah.
That's a cool spot.
Yeah.
I think I recorded there before. I think Dusty and I were guest spotting for somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know, because for a while, like when he and I were doing our show, we did do a lot of guest appearances on others, because you know how like certain podcasts we kind of click. We're like a little podcast family.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it was. But then when I did your podcast, I stopped. Well, I don't really do podcasting anymore, you know. But at that time, I kind of was like fresh off
Yeah, exactly. I think you guys just kind of had gone your own ways, doing different things. So it was 2 years ago or so. I mean, you've done little things between now and then. No, then
I've
and now.
Done a few.
Yeah.
Have I? Yeah, I think I have.
Yeah, so
I feel like Super Audio Brothers.
Yeah.
You know,
Mega Man too. I think you were on Mega Man.
Yeah. But honestly, that episode with you, we got so deep.
Yeah, that was pretty good, huh?
Like we started off just with pendejadas, right?
Yeah, just cracking up,
dumb
laughing.
Stuff. And then all of a sudden, when I was done, I was like, was that a therapy session?
You never would have thought that happened inside Shenanigans.
Right, it was good. It was good stuff.
Well, I mean, besides that, Heidi, thank you again so much for coming out, taking the time, having me here.
For sure.
We were just briefly talking about psychedelics or mushrooms more specifically. I don't know how deep you want to get into that conversation, but I don't mind at all talking about my own experiences on that.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, if you're here, if your listeners are, into that kind of thing, for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of people may be curious about it because you hear about it all the time. Like, you hear oh, well, nowadays more like, oh, mushrooms can cure depression or addiction and shit like that. And it's like, okay, makes you start wondering what it is, but... Then you see videos on YouTube or you hear your friends are tripping and you're like, damn, that doesn't look like a fun experience,
Yeah.
But overall, I think, it could be a fun experience. I think from what you were telling me and from what I was briefly explaining too. But like you said, it depends on the setting and how you're going into the mindset, right? So now, if you don't mind me asking, going already deep here, what mindset did you go into that trip when you did it?
Well, what it was, so I'd known about mushrooms, but I was really scared of the psychedelics. So even though I've done my fair share of drugs, that was one thing I just wasn't into. Yeah. And then my son who lives in Arizona visited last November, and I saw this huge personality shift in him. I didn't even recognize the kid. I was like, who are you, right? In a good way. Because he tends to be very, he can be kind of really negative and grouchy and everything bothers him. And he just was really different. Yeah. Really lighthearted almost. And so as we're talking, I asked him what is going on? And that's when he told me he'd been doing mushrooms and how he'd researched it and all this. And I was like, really? And so I decided to give it a shot. And I kind of looked into it too before I did. And so for me, going into it was mainly, a lot of, there was a lot of the best way I could describe it, just a lot of heaviness in my soul. A lot of trauma from childhood. Just, there were a lot of things that weighed me down and I didn't know why. Yeah. Right? I just couldn't understand, why do I feel almost like this hollowness when I am really blessed? I do have a lot going for myself. So why do I not feel more fulfilled? Right?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, because a lot of us, I myself feel like that every now and then. I'm like, there's something there, what you have, you're aware of it. Yeah. But you're also aware that there's still something not connected.
For sure, right? And almost and I've suffered from depression in the past, for sure, really bad. I've and people wouldn't know. I remember one of the best compliments I got from someone once was, I was in a dark ass place. Yeah. And she said something about me having it all together. And I looked at her and I go, girl, my life is a fucking train wreck, right? I just got out of a horrible relationship. I'm financially fucked right now. My life was just falling apart. And she was like, are you serious? I couldn't tell. So at least I was like, well, at least I play the part, right? So back to the mushrooms, I guess it was just all of that I was like, if I could find some relief, I'm willing to try it. So that's what I did. So when I started looking into it, I studied how mushrooms came about. And so I learned that it was really important to set an intention. Yes. Right before you do them. I'm a full hippie, so I sage, right, to clear my environment and my energy. It's like a whole ritual. And then I set an intention, and for me was healing. I just wanted to heal. And it every single journey, I've only done them 3 times, but the 3rd time was the most intense because I did a full 8.
Damn.
But I've gotten something so incredibly important from each journey.
Yeah.
But the 3rd one was amazing. It was life changing. Like I did 20 years of therapy in 6 hours.
In 6 hours, huh?
Because it's a long ass trip.
Yeah, it's super long. Yeah, people, when I first was like, oh, it's gonna last like between 5 to 6 hours. I was like, damn, 5 to 6 hours.
Yo, I got places to be.
Yeah, I got things to do. But I mean, like you said, like you gotta set that intention. And unfortunately for me, the first time that I tried it, I went in there and I was in a bad headspace. You know, like I personally had gone just, I think maybe like 2 weeks out of a relationship, like a really long-term relationship, baby mama relationship.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I was in this mindset where I was like, you know what, I don't care. Like, I just want to find something to kind of escape, you know? And the mushrooms just happened to come along and I took them and like I mentioned, it wasn't a bad experience. Like people have bad trips, but it definitely was an experience that made me question a lot of things about myself. And I realized that there was a lot of things that I couldn't control, obviously, because everything that's external you can't control.
So let me ask you something, because did it leave you with those questions or were your questions answered?
I think no, for sure my questions were answered.
Okay.
Yeah, because at the end I realized that my biggest fear was being alone. And until I came to accept the fact that I'm born alone in a sense, you know, I'm here coming in one life.
We are,
and you're leaving on your own.
We are, yeah.
Ultimately, it's about making sure that you feel comfortable within your own body to call yourself home wherever you're at. So that was my realization. It may sound crazy, you know, but
you know what? It might sound crazy to someone that hasn't done it, right? Yeah. But 100%, that's what happens, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like this is my own theory, guys, right? But about mushrooms. But I feel like our body, our mind is one, right? It's connected. So many people tend to separate the two. And what happens to the body and to the soul as far as trauma is concerned is not forgotten by the mind. It may be stored somewhere for survival purposes, right? Sometimes we need to not be able to remember those things to function.
Yeah.
But I think that those are the things that cause all these uncertainties that we don't understand.
Yeah.
So I think that what these mushrooms do is they bring to light those things.
Yeah, exactly. No, they do. I feel like in a sense, like it brings them up not to hurt you, but to help you like see, okay, look, you're avoiding this part of your life for these reasons, but you need to see them for what they are to accept them, and then you fucking, you know, come out of the other end with like, oh shit, like I gotta face and embrace my past, you know, in order to kind of move forward.
100%.
So
and I think that's what scares people.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. I think people are scared of seeing themselves in in true light, in a sense.
Yes.
You know, it's just like nobody wants to, like, I've had many conversations with friends or people that I know that I know not everybody wants to open up to everybody, right? Like it takes moments.
They don't have to.
Yeah, they don't have to, right? Yeah, this is what I'm trying to get to. It's like you don't have to open to that extent, but you have to be able to, like, on your own time, take a minute, even if you're by yourself, to think about your demons. You know, think about those things that really make you question yourself. You know, and you know, if you do it deep enough, or like, I guess it turns into some sort of trip. But the mushrooms is just like a shortcut, I guess.
You know what, though? I'll play devil's advocate here a little bit and say that I think there are times that even if we want to, or we're willing to face those things, there are things that we just are not aware of. That we're just simply not aware of.
Yeah.
And because for me, my very first trip, I had not cried like that I don't even know how. I was sobbing like a baby because one of the things that I was faced with that I really had no idea, and it was something that was bugging me, swear to God, for, at that time, my son is 24 now, 23 years.
Damn.
Okay? Because my son, I used to be like, why does he act like he can't stand me sometimes? Like, I just felt like he wasn't very affectionate, and he almost like pushed me away so much, and I didn't get it because on the surface, I was like, I'm a pretty good mom. Like I provided, I've been there. He's always come first. That's why I didn't have boyfriends. Like right? Man, the mushrooms were like, let me tell you, girl, you weren't that great. And what I was forced to see was how often I rejected my son emotionally. How many times I had him at 17. I wasn't ready to be a mom, and I can admit now out loud that I can't count how many times I used to say, or I used to think how much better my life would have been if I didn't have a child.
Yeah.
He felt that. He felt that emotional rejection, even if I didn't say it out loud, right? Children feel these energies. That shit was rough when I knew that I'd done that to my son, right? But you see, I didn't know. I genuinely didn't know. But the mushrooms were like, bam.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's funny, not funny, but it's interesting that you say, because like I have my son's gonna be 8 like in a week. He's a lot smaller, you know, but he's in a situation where he also has just, you know, he has to live with one parent, you know, whatever. But there's still communication. But you kind of see, you read like these emotions from them. You're like, there's something that he's kind of like blocking. There's some sort of block that it's not allowing him to kind of like break through. No matter how much you tell him or try to reassure that you care in that sense, you know. But you're telling me this, and it's making me reflect, like, oh fuck, maybe am I paying attention? Like, oh fuck.
You never know.
But you see, this is the magic of mushrooms in themselves, you know. Or I guess I would specifically say the mushrooms. I saw this documentary recently, or it's like a series on Hulu. It's called Pharmacopoeia or something like that. There's this guy who goes around like episodes doing different psychedelics.
Ooh,
and then,
really?
One of them he goes to Mexico to go see where the actual mushrooms are born, pick them up, and do actual like a shaman ritual.
Oh, I want to do that.
Yeah, and it was so interesting, and you can, he's just being filmed, and you can see that he's just in this place of euphoria and like understanding, and like just like used to the vibe, the music, I think they're called Icaros or something like. There's like these shaman songs, and it's very interesting, just like very grounding and like ancestral, you know, and like I can't imagine what that will be like.
I would love to do something like that. I was actually talking to a friend of mine who lives in Mexico about doing a ceremony in Oaxaca.
Oh,
I guess they have
I think that's where they were. That's where you went. Yeah.
And I'm all about it with fucking COVID.
Yeah.
Fucking COVID.
The shamans wearing masks too.
I don't know though. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, would that trip me the fuck out? Because I've only done them here at home. Like I don't go anywhere, you know, because it is very stimulating. It stimulates your senses. Yeah. And so I don't know if I would be overstimulated somewhere. For sure, I want to do them in nature one day.
Damn, that would be really interesting.
Right? Like just like in like the mountain, because that's my jam. Like I love
did you get any did you start hallucinating or imagining? Yeah. Damn, I like to bring this memory up because during my trip, like a lot of things kind of just started making sense, right? Like, or maybe I was just really high on the mushrooms. I was tripping out, but there was a point where I had my eyes closed and I'm like just chilling, and I can hear my friend coming from the side, but with my eyes closed, I can see like energy just pulsing, kind of like how sonar is, like bats, how they communicate by bouncing the sound waves.
But your friend was there.
He was there, yeah.
Okay.
He was approaching,
making sure you were hallucinating that too. Like, damn, you hallucinated a whole person.
That was just more like, like waves or something, and like clips. It looked like I was stop animation, it's frame. Yeah. Life felt like a frame. Like it was just a picture just stitched together smooth enough for it to look seamless. And that's from there, crazy. It went really like super personal, and my friends were there. I remember just at some point, all the three of us just kind of hugged each other in a big group hug. It was very emotional. It was very emotional. Cry? I kind of cried, yeah.
No, I was fucking sobbing. Sobbing. I was like, I'm a little bitch. What the?
Yeah, I think the second time I went to Joshua Tree, and I did it there. and the sunset was beautiful.
So jealous.
Yeah, and then it's that same trip that told me, I guess, made me realize that I still wasn't fully accepting the fact that I'm alone. That I have to be comfortable with myself. Because the recurring memories came up, and I was like, okay, this is trying to tell me something. Like, I'm not progressing enough, I guess. But
that's a deep message, man.
yeah, so that's why I'm kind of interested in going into it now again to see what it is. Because I feel more comfortable and more like, I don't know.
Well, you understand it now.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
And you've done it, so you know what to expect. I think the scary part is like, because I know my first time, it was like, ooh, my son had prepared me. He was like, look, this is kind of what happens. This is what you should look for. But everyone's experience is completely different.
Yeah.
And even the 3 times I've done it, obviously the 3rd time was fucking just balls out because I did a full 8. But the first 2 times I did a pretty similar amount. I did a little more the second time, but nothing significant. But they were still very different experiences, but at least
And like you say, you retain like a little message from each of them, right? Have you ever have you ever done the isolation tank? Like,
fuck no, that scares me.
Scares you? Oh, is it because you're claustrophobic?
Yes, and I don't like the dark like that. I hate not being able to like see.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's definitely a dark ass spot.
Have you done it?
Yeah, I've done it. I've done it twice.
That?
It was interesting. It's like being on a high without but you're more in control. I can just get out of the fridge, but it's pretty much like
fridge is cold.
No, it's just shaped like a fridge. It's probably like as big as this room here, split into 2, and it's just water. So you go in there just butt naked.
Naked?
Yeah, butt naked.
Who is
you shower first. You shower first.
But is like somebody watching you?
They have night vision cameras?
Yes, fucking perverts. Trying to cover my parts.
And I was thinking about, just as the dirty part. Talking about the cameras? No, I'm pretty sure you'll see the camera just beeping there. But so, I mean, you walk into this big fridge, right? And you shower, you go in naked, you lay down in the water. And like the water is kind of warm because it feels like room temperature. So
Are you floating?
Yeah, you're floating. So like you're useful. It's probably like maybe 10 inches of water.
Oh, okay.
So you're on your back, laying down.
Yeah.
And because it has a lot of Epsom salt, you kind of just float. So like 10, 15 minutes after you're in complete darkness, your mind just starts imagining things. It's kind of like when you're daydreaming.
Yeah.
But they get really vivid. Like very vivid. Like you're just thinking about things like you start with work, you start with like school, whatever it is. And the next thing you know, you're like, oh, what if this person didn't mean like blah, 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 blah. You start going into like these deep thoughts of like hyper awareness or whatever you want to call it. And it's just very cool because you walk out of there and you feel refreshed because of the salt and the water. Your body just feels, I guess your energy feels lighter. And then I remember that day coming out feeling fucking sad though. Because I felt like, oh, everybody's going to die. Nothing matters. But then I was like, no, but that's the whole point. That's the beauty of things.
Counterproductive.
And
fuck you, isolation pod.
But it was a beautiful, like, the fact that I was able to have those type of hyper-aware thoughts for me was like, damn, like, I'm in touch with myself. Like, even if I'm feeling emotional right now, like, what I'm feeling is, this is life, you know? So it was cool.
How would you compare that to a mushroom trip?
I prefer the mushroom trip anytime.
Fuck yeah, huh?
Yeah.
I see one. Because I have her. I hate the dark. Like, I don't. Okay, so I like the dark. Like, I like it really dark in my room to sleep. Yeah. Right? So I like that kind of dark. I can't be having no light while I'm sleeping. I even wear, like, eye masks. I'm one of those. Yeah. I'm one of those. But for some reason, like, being in the dark fucking terrorizes me. Oh, like, pitch dark like that, I can't, like, I'm not okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't do mushrooms.
Yeah, you just do the mushrooms.
Yeah, because, you know, right now you brought up something that made me realize maybe for my next journey, the intention, because I have a real fucked up, like, and I'm actually already working on my relationship with men. I have a really, really dysfunctional relationship with men. And it just hit me this year, like a few months ago. Yeah. Right? Where I was
that like, realization?
You know yeah. I mean, I'd always known that that I had issues with men, but it didn't bother me. I was just like, this is just how I am. right? Like,
okay,
just, that's how I am. They don't, they don't have to like it. That's how I am.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I don't like it. I finally got to the point where I was like, I've had some moments, some like real hippie moments, and then I realized, a lot of people misunderstand the law of karma.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, the Western thought of karma is, you get what you put out to the universe, and that's semi-true. But one thing about karma that people don't often realize is that how you treat others is a reflection of how you treat yourself. What you do onto others, you're really doing to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because we are all connected. And I treat men like shit.
Yeah.
So then I was like, what does that say about me?
Uh-huh.
And my relationship with myself. And when I started looking at it that way, I was able to personalize it. Because I didn't care what a man felt before. I don't care, right?
Yeah, you just brush it off type of thing.
Mm-hmm. At the very worst case, I felt like a little bad, right?
Yeah.
But I've felt bad for hurting someone before because he was such an amazing human being. And that hurt my soul. It crushed me, right? That I couldn't reciprocate. But other than that, I don't give a fuck, right?
Yeah.
So then I was like, then I don't give a fuck about myself. Right?
Yeah.
Like, and ever since that, so I think my next mushroom journey, I'm going to set that intention to like explore it. Yeah, to like really fucking go deep.
Yeah. I think it helps because you're already going in there, like you said, with the mindset, but you already have an idea of what you think you need to fix. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the first step because, again, like a lot of people don't like admitting that they're not perfect. Right? Does that make sense? They like to admit that they're they're not perfect. So it's
you're
like...
right on it.
and it's like... That's not true. We all have our faults. Like you said, we all, even if it's hidden subconsciously, like we're doing something to ourselves that they're self-destructive,
For sure.
Yeah. I know for me, one of the big ones was, like I learned, like the whole idea with like, the whole trip was because I wanted to find the truth within myself, right? The truth, air quotes. And
what truth?
That's where I was questioning, like, what is...
what is the
like,
truth?
what is truth, because it's all objective, or not objective, but it's all, is that the word? Subjective, yeah. So it's like, there's no objective truth if you really start breaking things down.
Right.
So I was like, you know what, I have to be honest with myself, and I have to be honest with people as much as I can, because if I can't do it to others, then I'm just, I'm lying to myself as well, and it's counterproductive. Mm-hmm. But talking about your what's it called, your trip, do you see yourself doing anything like more than that amount that you did? Some people go like,
no.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm died, y'all. No, I visited death. No, I'm comfortable with that dosage. Mm-hmm. An eighth for me is good.
Yeah,
and my son, that's where he went wrong, really wrong.
Yeah.
He did way too much one day and had a horrendous trip. Horrendous. Like, where he was basically tortured for 6 hours.
Damn.
Awful.
That's bad.
Awful. Like, where he saw demons. And, and he'd never experienced something like that. He hasn't done them ever since.
Hard.
So, I think you have to be really careful. Mm-hmm. Gauge yourself, know yourself. That's why I always... anyone who's interested, because I feel like everyone should do it, right? I feel like this is, I microdose now, as I was mentioning to you, and I have noticed a significant difference in my mood.
Yeah.
It's not like this fucking happy drug. You're not going to be like, ecstatic all the time. No. Mm-hmm. I just think that it's helped me really be more even keel. And I have suffered from depression in the past, and I think with this whole COVID situation, this would have really done me in. Yeah, and it hasn't.
And it's a good reason to feel like that way too,
Yeah, this would have really thrown me into a really dark place, and it hasn't. At the very worst, I've felt down, especially when I found out that my best friend had it. Being worried about her, and just the uncertainty at the beginning.
Yeah, there was like,
scary.
Yeah, you don't know what was going to happen, what was going on.
So, but no, at the very worst, I got sad, I got down, but I didn't spiral like I normally would, and I attribute that to the microdosing.
Yeah, that's why I think it's interesting, like, the conversation 10, 20 years ago was like, no, shrooms are completely illegal. I mean, they're like a substance 1 or something.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, Schedule 1.
Yeah.
And now, they're doing more research and trying to open up the experimentation on it. And you start realizing that it's been beneficial for a very long time outside of Western civilizations, Ancient cultures have been using them forever. And again, like, I just think there's a lot of stigma too, like, you tell somebody you want some mushrooms, you're like,
well, that was me. I used to be like, hell no, I'm not a druggie.
And I knew,
I guess I am.
I feel like somebody told me once, like you can go in there wanting to do this mushroom trip, but usually, it's time when it kind of like makes its way known to you. Like, it gives you really subtle hints, like, oh, you should have some shrooms, or the conversation comes up and you're already kind of thinking about it, and then you start, I mean, with anything can happen like that, because you start zooming in on things that you're interested in, but you start hearing things, and I'm like, that's why I'm like, I think it's time to start kind of, at least do one more trip.
I brought it up to you today, huh?
Yeah, today you brought it up too.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay.
No, wait a minute.
Yeah,
the
like
universe is speaking to me.
The mushroom, 3 days ago, I forgot what I did on my phone, and I don't go into my contacts because I hardly save any information now. I don't know what I did, but I scrolled to the last contact on the P's for some reason. And I had a contact that I met some guy that I met maybe 4 years ago, and his name was Paul. It says Paul the Shroom Man. And he told me, he's like, whenever you need shrooms, man, just hit me up.
That's
and
awesome.
out of nowhere, like, it just comes up, and I was like, oh shit.
Is he doing business?
He didn't respond, so I don't think so. But
I have a girl. But she's out in Riverside, but she'll mail them to you.
Yeah.
But, I make a trip out there.
Yeah,
because I'm too cheap to pay $20 for the shipping.
Because it's a nice drive with no traffic.
Yeah, I'm driving out there. Shit.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people, like you said, I think they would benefit if they do it under certain conditions and circumstances, making sure they're approaching it the correct way and not just party style, You're going to get into some trouble for sure. But,
and that's not the purpose of it.
Yeah, right.
At all. And because it's a natural, to me, it's a gift. And if you abuse it, there are consequences because you're not supposed to, right?
Yep.
And so I think that when you go into it, it's important to honor it, and thank it for the benefits you're going to receive in advance. And I mean, I know after every trip, I'm just like in awe. Like, before mushrooms, I had a very difficult relationship with God. Like, a very I believed in a God only because that's how I was raised. But I just did not believe that this Christian God could be the God.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until this last journey where I experienced the love of God that I was like, oh, hell yeah, there's a God.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a God. I don't believe in the Christian God, but I know that God is much bigger than anything that man could possibly put into words. And it was amazing. And now I'm like, God this, God that. My family's like, God? Since when, you heathen?
but in that sense, you're referring to more like a spiritual part more than religious, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't believe in religion.
Yeah, right.
I think religion is awful. It's the root of all evil. If someone can use it for good, wonderful. But historically...
Yeah, it says otherwise.
For sure, right? So I won't knock someone who's actually using it to better him or herself. I think it's fantastic if you can use religion in that way. And again, to reach out to others and help. Not to change them. Not to tell them that their style of living is incorrect and immoral and wrong and there's a better way. No, that's not helping them. I know you think it is, right? Don't get me started on religion.
I just think it's important because...
How do you really feel, Heidi?
Yeah, it's because, people hear the word God and they're like, oh, they're talking about religion already. It's
No.
I feel the same way. I feel like you can be spiritual and not be religious, It's two different things.
Yeah.
But, I can, also say that I've had, maybe not as a crazy, yours sounds like it was very spiritual, I've got close to it, but it was more of it felt more like it sounds weird. I don't want to sound like a man lover here, but like it sounds like it feels like a very strong energy, and at least to me, it felt more like a fatherly energy, you know, or I guess parent. Maybe that's the right word. It just felt more.
It's alright to say fatherly, man. You know, I'm a fucking feminist, and that's if that's what you felt. I think it's gonna manifest differently in everyone. Mm-hmm. And if what you felt was a fatherly love, fuck it, it was a father. Say it proudly, Eddie.
Father love.
Yeah. A la verga with those pinches overly sensitive feminists. You're like, oh god, I just lost 50,000 subscribers.
Oh, shit. Gonna have to edit this right now.
Yeah, I'm an overly sensitive feminist. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting a little crazy. Not just the feminist, but I'm saying like a lot of things in general. I think people are just kind of.
No, but I think that you see, and that's why I had such an issue with religion and a religious God, because I thought to myself, okay, I don't know what the world's population is, but I find it very hard to believe that God, as the Christian faith knows it, or even the Muslims, the God, you know, that I cannot fathom that this one entity would fit so many people. Right? Why do we have such different personalities? Why do we all have different beliefs? Why can we look at the same thing and have different perspectives? Because we're fucking different. So I believe that God is personal. You know, God is an energy. God is something that's different for all of us.
Yeah. Damn, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, it makes sense, because I mean, I guess if you speak in religious terms, a lot of those stories that they say kind of in one way or another match each other, you know?
They do. There's so many similarities.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds like some of that might have been true, but again, people give this whole idea that first and foremost, it was just people who wrote these things, you know?
Thank you.
It's just people. It's just people like you and I right now sitting down, we're writing an essay.
Okay, feminists, y'all are gonna like this. It was men. It was men. Can't believe them.
It was. Unfortunately, it was, you know? But again, people forget that. It's just, you know, maybe these people were having their own psychedelic experiences that they decided, I met this God, this father figure, and this is what we're going to abide with, because this is what he told me life should be like.
You just blew my mind. You know? That's so true.
Yeah, you know, like there's this, I don't know who it was. I forgot.
All of them fucking talk about seeing some shit or hearing some shit.
Yeah, there's always this bush, from my understanding, this burning bush. And I think what a lot of people refer to it is what it was some sort of like a bush that had this chemical called DMT, which is a drug. I did
that shit too.
Oh, damn.
I did that shit too.
I'm going to have to get you connects later.
Yeah, man, it's too much. I did too many drugs, y'all. I don't know how I'm sitting here talking.
And the thing with that is I've heard that specific drug is naturally produced in your body at the moment of death and birth. Like, you're about to die, your body shoots DMT right up to your brain to take you on this spiritual journey or whatever it is to make your life transition to death smoother, you know? So it's weird. Again, like, I see that how a religion would use those experiences to kind of help influence, or not help, but manipulate people at mass scales, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think a lot of them were having some sort of fucking trip on something.
Fuck yeah. You know what? I'm gonna start a religion, y'all. After my next mushroom journey.
And have your own cult?
Hell yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, we're gonna do a lot of drugs. I would say have a lot of sex, but I haven't had sex in so long. Y'all can have sex.
COVID times. Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I've had some people, some of the questions that people were asking me, they were like, oh, you're going to have, some people know you, you know? Some people are like, oh, Heidi. Really? So they're like, oh, they recognize you. And they're like, yeah, so let's talk about dating during COVID. Because apparently one of my friends, she says she's been, for I don't know how, but dating more now than she was before COVID. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, okay. I mean, to me, that sounds like
meeting up with people?
Yeah.
Shit, that's scary.
I know, that's what I thought. Like, man, that's like asking for it, you know?
Oh, man, that's like, you know, back in the day, we had to worry about STDs, right?
Yeah.
Just use a condom. You're pretty safe. But motherfucking COVID?
You have to wear the masks.
Like, how does that, how does that work? I guess. No kissing?
Yeah, I mean,
no saliva?
There's videos on Instagram where they catch couples making out with their masks on.
Masks on?
Yeah.
How? Like
they're just rubbing up against each other with their cloth.
It's like the dry humping of making out.
Yeah, that's weird. I mean, I would think you'll get the saliva on your own mask. You're probably gonna not.
Yeah, that defeats the purpose. You're breathing onto each other.
Yeah.
Even if you are covered, that's why the whole fucking 6 feet apart thing is. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's like weird. Like, okay, I mean, for sure, I can see how people like they don't. All social life is kind of brought to a halt right now. So it's like meeting up, and I'm thinking like, man, how does she even like?
Where does she meet them? Where does she meet up?
Oh, I have no idea.
Because this is one thing I can say. I think about right now during COVID. I think it's a really great time for people to actually get to know each other.
Yeah.
Right? To build more intimate bonds. Because when we're able to socialize, a lot of times when you're out with someone, you confuse the environment for the person. And what I mean is, do you really have fun with that person? Or are you at a fun place?
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Because if I'm out dancing, let's say I'm at a place, I love rock en español. If we're at a place, there's rock en español, I'm going to have a blast. Doesn't matter who's with me.
Okay, yeah.
But do I really have fun with you? If we're stuck at home during COVID, am I going to enjoy your company? Are you going to make me laugh? Are we going to be able to do shit together that is mundane and still have fun?
And still have fun, yeah. It's funny because you mentioned that because there's a commercial that recently came out. I forgot. I think it was like a Coke commercial or something. But it's like this couple, and it shows them in different stages of COVID, just in their PJs or separate parts. And they're like, help bring each other together or something. And it's like, it's true, a lot of people don't have the time or that long enough time to sit down with somebody and be like, fuck, this guy is boring, or this girl sucks.
For real? No, I swear. That's why I spend some time talking to people. Because I'm like, no, we're not going to do fun stuff. I need to get to know who you are. Yeah. And I think this allows for that. Especially people who are taking it more serious. Like I told you, I'm a little wacky, but I am taking this pretty serious. So let's say I meet someone and really all we can do is communicate over the phone or Zoom or whatever the hell, right? I'm getting to know that person without any exterior stimulus to make him more interesting than he really is, or vice versa. Shit, I may not be that fucking fun or interesting to him, right? I mean, I can be really annoying. Yeah. So, but that way you get to. You really get to know that person.
Yeah, it gets a lot more personal. And I like how you said it. Like, is it the environment that you're in that's why you're having fun, and this person just happens to be around?
Yeah.
Because I mean, at some point or another, we've all had a relationship where we're like, oh yeah, it's I had more. I was like, or you're thinking like, they used to be so much fun, but like, no, you were just going to cool places.
Yes.
Now you're just at home.
You just didn't pay attention, Menzel. For sure. No, it's happened to me too many times for me to now realize, like, oh, I can't do that. That's why now, like, first dates, I'm always like, let's just go have coffee. Like, something super simple. I don't want to go to dinner. I don't want to go to a fun place. Yeah. I'm not going to have alcohol. Yeah, just maybe one. Because then, again, shit. Yeah. A few drinks in, anyone's interesting.
That's true.
And if they're drinking too, right? But I'm wondering how COVID is affecting the whole, like hookup culture right now.
I don't know. That is weird. I mean, I'm, for sure taken, so I can't speak to that. But my friends,
which I'm so happy, by the way.
Yeah.
Because the last conversation we had when I was on your show, you weren't dating.
I was like, I'm not doing this. Yeah. I'm taking time for myself.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, it's funny because you bring that up because I was also thinking like, like last time I talked to her, like this and this was happening. And it's like, oh, damn, like I feel like personally I did grow along the way, for whatever I was seeking at the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm in a really good spot for me to be like, I'm going to be in a relationship, So it's good. I have nothing to complain about. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah.
so far good, you know. But at the same time, it's about. I personally think, or at least other people have told me as well, like a relationship is not being there for each other to make them happy, but just coexisting as two happy people, you know, on doing their own thing. I think, and I think that makes sense because now I feel more focused on what I'm doing as well, but I'm also focused on relationships stuff, you know. It's like I can balance it out, and it feels good.
It's that whole, you know how a lot of people they have that whole "you complete me" mentality,
Yeah,
and I think that can be really detrimental because if you complete me, when you're gone, I'm not whole.
Yeah, you're not whole. You go down some weird spiral,
and that's a horrible pressure to put on another person.
Yeah,
for you to complete me, right?
Yeah,
like it shouldn't be that way. I love your philosophy. Like it should be two whole people coming together and complementing one another rather than completing.
Yeah, because you don't want that. You just one of the persons setting up themselves up for failure or like drastic, like
oh yeah, or both. Because you know a lot of times those personalities attract one another, right?
Like negatives and negatives, or
yeah, I feel like a lot of times like the people who if you pay attention, I think people attract like how they say like attracts like, right? And so I know at different phases in my life that I've been at, I'm like, I'll see it, right? I see it. And sometimes even parts of ourselves we don't want to see is what we attract. But I think, like a lot of times those people who don't feel complete attract another person who doesn't feel complete and is probably equally damaged. And then they have these expectations of each other that they can't possibly fulfill. Yeah,
I get you. Yeah, at some point I remember like my whole thing was like, I don't know, maybe I was attracted to people or to women who were damaged or something. You know, that there was something missing that I was like, oh, I can be the one who could go in there and fix it type of thing.
Yeah.
But you're going in there with the mentality that you're going to fix somebody else when it really that person needs to work on themselves to fix themselves, you know? And at the end of the day, you just go in there with this expectation that, oh, if you're like this to this person's gonna what's the word I'm looking for?
Change.
Change, yeah.
but think of it. Think of how unfair that is. Even for you to want that for somebody.
Yeah.
Because what does that say? I've done it. Okay, I'm not. You know, and it wasn't until it was done to me where someone wanted to change me that I realized how offensive it was, right? Like, I'm fucked up. I don't need you to change me, right? Like, how dare you tell me that I should be different than what I am? You know, and it's really demoralizing because it sends a message that you're not okay the way you are.
Yeah,
and some of us are not. Some of us are not, but that's a fucked up message to send to someone that you supposedly care for, right? Yeah,
it's true, you know, and you know, I at least for me didn't learn that till like way later, and I was like, okay, like that's not what I should be doing, you know. I should be really just focusing on myself because again, if I'm happy, then I can go ahead and try to make somebody else happy. I can't just make somebody else happy and go home and just be a piece of shit, miserable later on, you know.
And how much more amazing could we be if we did focus all that energy on ourselves? On improving ourselves because we know ourselves, right? And I don't find it offensive when I tell myself like you're really slacking in this area, right? Like let's bring that up a notch. Someone else tells me, I'm gonna be like, fuck you, right? And like super defensive. But if I say it to myself, it's personal growth. It's not criticism.
Like I had a question that somebody had asked too, like what do you think, or at least from your like experience, like are men that are more like not feminine, but they're more emotional with themselves, I guess. Like, do you see that as a downside, or is that more like an upside in a sense?
It depends. It depends. I think it's all about how it's communicated, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Because I've dated men where I'm like, I mean, I know I'm not a lesbian, but am I dating a woman, right?
Yeah.
No, I think that when a man is, you can express, you can have very intense feelings, and there's so many different ways of expressing it, right? So I think that for me, it's a turn off when a man, when he presents his feelings in a way where there's an expectation of me. So for instance, like if a man says to me, I miss you.
Yeah.
And he says it 100% just because he misses me. And he wants me to know that he misses me. And he has no expectation of a response. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
To me, that's a very healthy way of communicating that. However, when a man says to me, I miss you, and really he's saying it, he may miss me, I believe it, right? But also because he expects to hear it in return, I'm not okay with that.
Okay. But so it's not even because he's saying it like in the reassurance way. It's more like
he needs something.
Yeah, right.
It's
exactly.
not for me. Right?
He just wants to get a little kick out of.
He wants something. Yeah. And so that's when, you know, like I've had this guy I was dating last year. The reason I stopped dating him is because I told him from the beginning, I'm not going to say things I don't mean, good or bad, you know, I'm going to. Yeah. So don't corner me into saying something. And he tried to. Like I can appreciate that your feelings are more intense than mine. Yeah. I'm slow to warm up. But once I'm in, I'm a million in. Yeah. Right? Like you ain't gonna get rid of me. Try. I'll get psycho bitch on you, right? Like you're gonna wish we hadn't gone this deep. But when I can appreciate, like, you know, when you're like, oh, I care about this person so much, but I don't know how he or she feels, right? And had he approached me a different way, like, had he said, like, listen, I'm feeling a certain way, how do you feel?
Okay, yeah.
I would have been okay with that. But what he did instead was, I need you to say A, B, and C to me. The fuck?
Yeah, like...
Why the fuck would I say that to you if I don't feel
especially in that kind of situation, too, you know? Yeah.
Right? So, you see, that's why, to me, it's like, it's not about how emotional a man is. It's how you express it. Because same thing with a woman, right? Do you want her breaking your fucking windows because she's upset? No. Right? Not okay with that. But if she came to you and said, I'm really angry because you did this. Yeah. I think that's a lot more acceptable than breaking the windows.
Yeah. Yeah, I had one of my other friends here. She kind of like asked me for some advice a couple of weeks ago. I guess she was dating this guy who has a kid. It's like a 2-3-year-old. Ooh. Yeah, so like apparently the guy told her at this point, like, you know what, like he was honest with her. He was like, you know what, like I don't see this going anywhere too far. I don't want you to get too attached because I'm just getting used to like the whole idea of single fatherhood and like single life again. And you know, he kind of cut her off and stuff, and she was just like, well, what do you think? Like you have a son. I was like, well, you know what, like I would say like if he really wanted to, like he'll make time, you know, because I feel like I make time for my whatever parts of my life that I have to deal with, you know. 100%. And that's like the best indication to know whether somebody 100%. Or not is interested. And
you know how many times I've said that to people? Yeah. I used to say, oh, I don't have time. And I stopped saying that. And I'm more honest now and say, I don't want to make time. Do I have a jam-packed schedule? Fuck yeah. Yeah. I work crazy hours. I'm in grad school. I do a lot. But if I've made time for people, I make time for my family, I make time for my friends. And if I met someone who was worth my time, I would make time for him. He'd have to know he's only got like 3 hours a week. And if you're okay with that, right? Then I'm going to make that time. Yeah. That's time I can spend by myself. And I'd gladly do that. So ladies and men, if a person is not making time for you, and when I say making time for you, it's real time. Not, oh, he squeezed you in because he was around the corner and it was convenient. That's not making time. Don't get it fucking twisted, okay? Making time is him saying, hey, Saturday, planning ahead. You know, I'm all about sporadic moments. That's cool too. But if that's all you're getting, honey, you're just a side piece. Damn, you're not important.
Yeah, you know, people don't want to hear that, but it's
it's
truth.
It's the fucking truth. Right? Yeah. And you know what? We've all experienced that. Look, I consider myself a master fucking dater, right? Yeah. Like, I see shit a mile away. And I'll tell you right now, I've been on that end. I've been on that end where I'm on, this motherfucker, he he just, he just hit me up because he's around the corner. It's not because he made time for me.
Yeah.
So it's all right, man. We all go through it.
Yeah. That's why it gets weird. You know, I don't like giving out like relationship advice because sometimes I don't think I'm even the best person to do so. I know certain experiences may relate to certain things. Mm-hmm. So that's why I felt comfortable that they tell her, like, he just doesn't really want to make time, you know, because he would if you wanted to, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can see it being in that position before. It's like, with this newfound singlehood, you're like, oh, I want to learn about myself, you know? Yeah. Like, take the time to kind of grow into who you were or you want to be.
And look, this is a thing. I'm going to add an extra layer.
Yeah.
He's a father.
Yeah.
Okay? When you are a parent, and you know this, when we date someone, if we're thinking long term, we're looking at this person and the match they'll be with our child.
Yeah, right.
And guess what? If, as a mother, if I didn't think this is a good match for my son, or you're the role model I want around my son, it's not going anywhere.
Damn, that is the extra layer, huh?
Like
at this point, yeah.
If you're dating a parent, you have to know that you're being looked at in a completely different way.
Yeah.
Are you a good match to be my child's other parent?
Yeah. Now, playing devil's advocate.
Go for it.
Do you think it's like the pressure that you're putting onto that person is justifiable? I mean, it's a child, right? But is it fair for them to be put in that position where they have to kind of like, oh, I like this person, and oh man, I found out they have a kid. Like, I mean, you have choices, right? But at the end of the day, like, if you really want to, like, I guess go through with it, like, I mean, I don't know. I guess you put yourself in that position anyway. You know, it's like you're putting that pressure on yourself.
You know what you're getting into when you're dating someone with a kid. There's another little human being involved, right? And with that little human being comes other people, like the baby mama, the baby daddy, their family, right? Like, it's not just a child, package, right? There's a lot there. Yeah. So, I think that dating a person with a child is just a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
It's a whole different ballgame. Unless that person, and I think this guy, I have a lot of respect for him for being honest with her and saying, I don't see this going anywhere.
Yeah.
And ladies and men, fucking believe it when a person tells you some shit like that. And if they're being honorable enough to say it to you, just believe it. Leave them alone.
Yeah.
Don't keep fucking pursuing it. You know how many times I tried to be gentle with someone and just say, I'm not ready for a relationship. It's me. I knew it wasn't me. I didn't fucking like you, right? But I want to be gentle, and they just won't accept it. Just accept it. Have some self-respect, and next.
Yeah, I mean,
move on.
Yeah, and it's I guess at the end of the day, it comes down to like these people learning how to accept that sometimes things don't come out their way. You know, like they're just everything's out of your control. You know, the only person you have in control of is yourself.
And rejection sucks.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't feel good, man. Trust me, like, I've had my share of guys that I'm interested in, and just it's not reciprocated, right? We all go through that. I don't think I've ever met someone, at least, if you're not willing to admit it, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But there ain't no one on this earth that hasn't felt rejection at one point or another.
Yeah.
And it feels like shit. And you want to make all these excuses, right? For it not being you. And
people are listening right now, they're like,
no, it wasn't me. It was the kid. But that's fine. But just don't lower yourself. Yeah. Have some self-respect. Talk to whoever you need to process it, but leave that person alone. Yeah,
that's a good way to put it. Process the information and just accept it.
Yeah. And it's hard.
It's hard.
It sucks. Yeah. It stings. It stings a lot.
It does. Damn, I'm like remembering right now. Start crying.
I'm calling your girlfriend.
Reassure me.
It wasn't me, huh? You love me.
Oh man. Well, Heidi, we're at that time. Thank you again for having me on. Like, I really I always enjoy the conversations we have. I think they just go random places, and
we started with mushrooms.
Yeah,
and ended up dating.
But it's cool. I like the fact because again, the mushroom part is just it's a great experience. You know, and if people have the chance to do so in a secure environment, I would say why not? Just
start slow.
Yeah.
Don't do a full eighth right
No,
away.
don't do a full eighth.
Scare the shit out of you.
And right now, COVID times, you're at home anyway. Experiment a little bit.
Yeah.
Take 5 hours off. And
I agree. I agree. Search your soul, man. Do some soul searching.
Soul searching.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you'll find somebody that's on that same path as you, I think.
Yeah. For sure.
Heidi, thank you again. And hopefully, it's not 2 years before we have a next conversation. Hopefully soon.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me.
Have a good night. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Just another day, and I gotta get this money, babe. Keep that food up on my plate. I'm focused. Just another day. Make sure that my family's straight. Make sure that my bills are paid. This my everyday. Tell me what we gon' do. Tell me what's the plan. Alright, now what's the next move? We have next, we got receipts, and yeah, we got proof. Been a mission, but no matter what we come through, yeah, we got the juice. We be riding swiftly. Got my family with me, cruising through the city. Fuck if you ain't with me. No matter what we winning, knew from the beginning. Yeah. It's just another day, and I gotta get this money, babe. Keep the food up on my plate. I'm focused. Just another day. Make sure that my family's straight. Make sure that my bills are paid. This my everyday.
Let me tell you, every time that I wake up, I just wanna get my cake up. Every day gotta get the paper. I be chasing dreams, keeping the lights on. Try to make a name, keep the base strong. Gotta build it up so we can't fall. Do it all with no major. Yeah, we all independent and only depending on when we hit it, go get it. Fucking the limit, we already knew for the jump that don't nothing come easy, you gotta accept it. What I be seeing is all on the rise, but what I be hearing is nothing but lies. I'm turning it off and I'm serving this high. Hit you with truth and I'm drawing the lines to get the bigger picture. All I be doing is fixing the lens, working the angles and flipping the script, cooking the kitchen to generate ends. So what you put up in the mixture, something that's tasteful to go with the blend. Keep your head nodded, you're telling your friends to elevate minds when I'm handling business.
And I gotta get this money, babe. Keep the food up on my plate. I'm focused. Just another day.